Hey guys, welcome back to PHT TV and welcome back to another Klipsch Compare. Today we are going to do center channels.
It should be interesting.
We get a ton of questions on, I have the 8000s and I feel like I'm missing something in my center channel. Would it help to upgrade from the 504C to the 64? Should I upgrade the center channel first or should I upgrade to the RF7s first?
The matching question, obviously. Can I use this center channel with those mains?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's a lot of people get very particular about that. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, the Cornwalls are up there, but those are not currently going to be in use. I just didn't want to move them out of the way. So what we have in use right now is we have the two center channels. Nothing else is plugged in. So it's going to be center channel versus center channel. After that, we do have the 8000s up so we can see pairing wise if it sounds better or if it still matches well to go from the 8000s to the 504C.
The thing that we have to bring up here is something that a lot of people take for granted. And I think you took for granted when we started this little gig was the processor. Mm-hmm. What it's capable of doing so that we can listen to these as accurately as they can be without enhancements, without funky change due to processing and all that. This processor does not have a mono out. So without a mono out, the DTS Nautilus X is what we chose as processing. And I listen with the natural X sound sometimes instead of all channel stereo, because all channel stereo on most things I've heard, I don't like the way it mixes the center channel. I don't think it stays very phase coherent because I hear problems between the mains and especially on my system. It may do it differently than this one, which is my whole point. Your processor will be very much whatever you choose as processing, and the algorithms that go along with that very much control what that speaker sounds like. Because we were trying to decide, and we were going from stereo, which nothing at all in the center, to enhanced stereo basically, or all channel stereo, and it sounded one way. We went to Dolby Surround, and it completely changed how that speaker sounded. You lost all the mid-bass thump in it. It was strictly auditory, and they took all the deep male vocals out of the center, even though we set these centers to large. Mm-hmm.
And it's a different EQ every way you go.
Each way you touch it, it EQs is differently. So we chose the one that sounded the most like a full range speaker to use as the source format on this test, simply because, well, I thought it sounded more like a regular speaker when it was in that mode.
Yeah.
If we're going to play one to the other, they're both getting exactly the same thing.
Yes.
So it's relative, but we wanted to be
as full range as possible.
Yeah, exactly. As full range and as least amount of hoopla going on in there as possible.
Exactly. And like you said, they are getting identical signals. So no matter what we are giving, it's relative. It is fair. Relative. It's fair. The only thing going through the ABX switcher is going from the amp to the ABX switcher, splitting between the 504C and the RC-64III. Nothing else is hooked up, although you do see a couple other speakers in front of here. Nothing else is hooked up. It is just the center channels today.
We get a lot of requests for different music. One of the reasons we listen to the same music over and over is because we're not listening to the music. We're listening to what the speaker does with it, and how it represents itself in the situation we're in. But people ask for more types of music, genres of music, and we had Jason Helms reach out to us, and he's working with a new artist, Charley Farley, and him and Charley have a new album out, new song out rather, on Charley's album. It's called Holy Water, and they gave us permission to use it, and it's been out about a week. It's on Spotify and other formats if you want to look at it. But
link in the description below as well.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's a newer, what I call a new aged country song. So it's got a little bit of everything: old country, rock and roll, rockabilly.
Got some rap in it.
Some hip hop rap in it.
It does have some deep bass in there.
Yeah, it's recorded pretty well, really well. So, I don't know, people were wanting something other than what we've done, thought we'd throw something in there a little different. Gives you a little bit of everything in one genre, if you will.
Yeah, so we'll add something else into the mix today. But what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, might as well. Let's start.
All right, so we're going to start on the RC-64III, and we're going to be back and forth between that and the 504C. You going to intro the song for us real quick?
Yeah, this is a new cut from Jason Helms and Charley Farley on Charley's new album. The name of the cut is Holy Water. Turn the volume up. There you go.
Down on Possum Creek, the tension's high, 'cause the chopper's flying fairly low. And underneath the canopy, where the whiskey burns and the marijuana grows, I can hear the sounds of the bloodhounds echoing down that Slade Rock Road. But the sheriff won't find no redemption down here in this holy water.
A warm summer night, I left with the whip of wheels. I kissed my woman goodbye, then I headed out to the steel. That mag light lit the path right through the back of the field. Be there long enough to make enough money for bills. I cooked a batch off, had a sip and sat next to that copper, just breathing in that night air, forgetting all my problems. That's when I heard them sounds coming down that holler. Up the path towards them screams and squeals. I didn't know who they were, but they didn't know I was here. I cut my mag light off, walked to the porch, pulled my steel. This is my house, and I got more than time to kill. I looked through the window, seen Becky tied up with that rope. That's when they heard the sounds and smelled the smoke. Yeah, I think that whiskey barrel and them bones don't blow, sing it. Yeah, I think that whiskey barrel and them bones don't.
Shots ring out like church bells ringing, screams let out like the choir singing. Blood runs cold in the land of my father's father. If you come around here and you're doing wrong, you better believe you're as good as gone. So run and tell your sons and daughters, you'll find hell in this holy water. You'll find hell in this holy water. Down on Possum Creek, the tension's high, 'cause the chopper's flying fairly low. Brother, you won't find redemption down here in this holy water.
Interesting. So soundstage in the 64 was huge.
It opened up that the way that thing's mixed on the 64 with the tapered array. It wasn't phasey. It sounded very congruent at the front. Lots of bottom end.
Surprisingly, in the 504 as well.
Yeah, no, I had both of them. They both had good bottom end.
Yeah, it didn't lack at all.
The 64 blended better top to bottom than the 504. Mm-hmm. I like the driver in the 64 and that horn better than I do in the 504. Mm-hmm. It just seems, like you said, front and back.
Yeah.
It's like there was a not necessarily something thrown over the 504, that it was dull, but it was different.
Mm-hmm. Now, the main thing you're going to be using center channels for is when you add it into a home theater and you're using it with movies. So right. we may dump some video into the mix, but we won't be able to show it. We'll just talk about it afterwards.
Right. The auditory, the spoken word may be enough different that it helps it in the 504. But playing music back in this format, I like that. Something we might consider doing is changing the format, listen to the same cut again. Mm-hmm. Or either do it on a different cut even, but listen to the same cut twice on different settings.
Okay. Just
because I'm wondering if they can hear it on the mic the way we hear it represented in the room.
All right, so that's one cut. That's a brand new cut. Again, if you guys like it, we'll leave a link in the description. Check that out. What do you want to play next?
Let's. We've got some energy there. Let's do something that repeats. And I would like to go back and listen to the enhancements to make sure they're not screwing with us.
Okay.
All right, so let's do like mycelium. It's got a lot of the same thing over and over, a lot of big bass response, and we should be able to maybe stop in the middle, listen to it on a different enhancement to see if it's changes our minds.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want the processor to fix our mind on what is and isn't.
Yeah.
So let's listen to a couple of formats on the processor just to CYA. Stereos. That's easy.
Yeah.
This is a little more difficult.
All right. So this is Matt Sommers, Mycelium. We're starting on the...
We're
starting on RC-64III. I feel like it's just overall more crisp, more clean.
On the 64?
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't notice that until we had the 64 option. Like when you're if you get stuck in listening to the 504, it sounds great. And then you kind of switch over to the 64 and kind of
that's what I was
saying. Exactly, yeah.
So what caught me was the guitar. Mm-hmm. In the amp, you can hear the crunch. It was almost gone in the 504, where it was present. That amplifier tone was present on the lead guitar in the 64. before we finish this cut, I want to move over and change the enhancements to see if it makes a difference on the second half. Because the great thing about this cut is that it repeats itself a lot. And so it gives you an opportunity to listen to one versus the other in the same bit.
So we have changed it from?
We went from the DTS Nautilus X to enhanced stereo, which we believe on this unit means all channel stereo, or the way most people call it. So that should give us a different outcome or different EQ tuning of the source to the speaker. So therefore the speaker should sound different. So let's play the other half of that mycelium cut.
All right, so this is the other half of mycelium.
And we'll start back on 64 again.
Starting right where we left off.
Wow.
There's definitely a difference there. I don't think it was changing every time you pushed it.
I was pushing B to make sure that it changed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't changing each time. Well, that changed the subject.
Yeah. Yeah.
They kind of swapped the places with it on that format, that source formatting. I like the 504 better.
I think I still like the 64 better on that, but it was for different reasons.
Maybe it was that I like the change of the 504 so much.
It was definitely a difference.
So let's do a different cut. Let's do yeah, we've got quite a bit of momentum. Let's do the Draekon.
All right, this one is Draekon, the value of all. That high frequency driver, I thought I'd notice a significantly bigger difference in the lows, but I'm definitely noticing it more in the mid-range.
Yeah. The bottom end out of the 504 is hanging with the 64 pretty damn well.
Yeah. Now, again, this could be another case of if we give the 64 more juice like we would the RF7s.
Correct.
It's gonna increase on that bottom end.
Correct, because you're looking at a speaker. It's 150 watts on the 504 versus, I'm guessing, 250.
It matches the 7s, yeah.
And so, yeah, it's got a lot more foot pedal left on that one.
Yeah.
So when the 504 runs out, you're going to have another 6 or 10 dB on the 64 without question.
Yeah. But one of the main reasons for using this style setup and why it works in this particular scenario is because, like we mentioned earlier, a lot of the questions we get is, I have the 8000s, I'm missing something in the center channel. Would it be all right? Would it still match? Would it still be friendly to the system if I upgraded to the 64 to blend with the 8000s?
Well, we can test that to see how they sound together, in our opinion. But my first answer is absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think absolutely you could mix and match, the RP versus the reference 7. Would you have a disability in the center channel if you had a 504 and went to the RF7s? Yes. I think you would run out of horsepower in the center channel before you do in the mains. Now, that's assuming folks are trying to peel paint from the walls using their speakers. At the normal 100 dB, I don't think any of them are going to have a problem getting that.
Yeah. And
we're talking in the 130s.
Yeah, and typically when you upgrade, so like say you have a set of 8000s with a 504C and you're asking which you should upgrade first. I don't know that
I'd go with the mains. Mm-hmm. If you're a music listener, absolutely go with the mains. Mm-hmm. If you're a concert listener, again, go with the mains. If you like watching John Wayne movies, maybe the center channel would be a good one.
Get that dialogue improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Are you want to check out a couple?
Let's do something small, lighter. Let's go a little.
Do you want to keep it on music, or you want to switch to a movie?
So let's do one more music cut before we go into the movie stuff or multi-channel stuff, and slow it down. Let's do Trey Johnson, "Bring My Baby Back Home."
All right, Trey Johnson, "Bring My Baby Back Home."
You didn't push play.
Gotta let the how's that roll.
I didn't hear a whole bunch of difference there. That made it a whole lot closer between them.
I'd probably disagree. I think this is gonna sound like we're comparing heritage, but I think the RS7 sounded more live. It might have just been the wider soundstage of the 64 as opposed to the actual tonal differences.
I think it was that mid-range tonal differences you're hearing.
You think so?
But there was, I guess because of the cut, the 64 showed that a little more than the 504, but the 504 wasn't slouching in that cut.
No.
I liked it better there than I had in the others from memory, and I know our audio memory, and don't do it to me again, it's that long. So, but man, from memory, it sounds a lot like those RPs.
All right, so yeah, that was definitely interesting. The 64s, there's there's a difference for sure, but it's not as prevalent, it seems like, in that kind of cut.
Right. Let's move the 8000s into play and do some 3-channel front stuff to see how they blend.
Let's see. All right, do you want to do that you want to bring in the movies now?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Be right back. All right, so we're back. And basically what we've done, we have hooked up the 8000s, and we still have the 504C and the RC-64III on the switcher. And now we're going to do some tests with movies in a 3-channel kind of setup. We still don't have a sub, we don't have surrounds. We are just kind of seeing how it blends with the 8000s and the 504C to the RC-64III. We have changed our settings on the amp to where we are in Dolby surround mode. So we are getting some channel changes or channel differences between the three units as opposed to the enhanced stereo that we were in before. We can't show you guys what we're using as such with movie content, but we're gonna come back and kind of tell you guys our thoughts after hearing it. We're using a Dolby demo track list, so it'll be like we're watching about 5 movies in the span of 5 minutes. So kind of get a difference of options there. All right, so this track is called Darling Side. We're gonna check this out and see how it sounds, see how it blends. All right, so we're gonna check out a movie now. We did a music cut last. Let's try Blade Runner. There's no dialogue in that. That wasn't helpful at all.
None.
All right, let's try Jumanji. All right, that one I did notice a significant difference in. All right, so that was Jumanji. Let's try The Great Wall. I think Spider-Man had dialogue, because he talks to himself a lot. I'll give one more a try.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, try the video games.
All right, so this is a video game test. Let's try Overwatch.
That was better than others.
That was definitely more telling. So we watched Jumanji. We watched The Great Wall. We watched
Blade Runner? No.
Yeah, we watched Blade Runner. We watched
Wonder Woman.
Spider-Man.
You say that already?
Spider-Man.
Darling Side cut for music.
Mm-hmm.
And Overwatch video game.
Overwatch for video game, yeah.
And the video game was the most telling auditory.
For sure.
And it held up what I think I heard in the music cuts.
Mm-hmm.
That the 64 was a little more forward and open than the 504.
Yeah, overall it sounded more theatrical, which, I mean...
Whole point.
Kind of the point, yeah. Now, I did not notice any kind of issues with blending either way. So going the 504C match with 8000?
No,
yeah.
it didn't.
So
I was focusing on the center to the point and and what was going on that I never thought twice about it. So yeah, blending's plenty good.
So if you're looking to upgrade your system and you want to upgrade, if you're looking for a little bit more out of your center channel and you have the 504C, the 64 is definitely the way to go. It gives you that extra presence, gives you more theatrical blend, and no issues whatsoever blending with the 8000s.
And that bigger driver, lower crossover point helps that unit. I've said forever, bigger's better in the center channel, just like bigger's better in amplifiers. Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can upgrade your 504 to the 64 with your 8000s.
Right. Now the next question is, which do you do first? The mains or the center?
Exactly.
And I go back to movies If you're 80% movies, 20% music, do the center channel. If you're 50-50 or more music than movie, do the mains. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going to get the most use out of your money.
For sure, for sure. Definitely more use for a center channel in your movie listening, movie watching.
Even now, with that said, if you're a big concert movie watcher, maybe the center channel is the thing to upgrade and get a bigger so that it keeps up a little bit better with the mains. If
your content is recorded to include the center channel. Yeah, if it's a 2-channel recording, then it's not going to make...
That's what I said. If you're watching movies and you're watching, David Gilmour or something, then you're going to... Having the big center channel is going to be a good thing because you're closer to the front. Now, we all have to say, this type of center channel is a compromise. This format of center channel came to play because of the width acceptance factor. They didn't want to put a Cornwall in the middle.
Yeah.
Or a RF7 in the middle. So they came up
or even an 8000.
Or even 8000. So they came up with this format so you can have a horizontal center and it fit under the screen more adequately, right?
More pretty.
Well, everybody had, or not everybody, there's a lot of people that have consoles to put their theater gear on and they want to set a center channel on there below their TV or above their TV. And a full-size speaker can't do that. That's the main reason. Is a full-size speaker or the same thing right and left in the center important? Absolutely. If you can go there, go there. Because it is the best way to go. You don't guess about tonal match. It is absolute at that point.
I think that's all we have for you today, guys.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do a whole lot more with the center as it is until we're able to switch a full system. And, maybe in the future we'll be able to do that and switch a full 5.1 system.
That'd be great.
And then you can go, here's this one versus that one.
Yeah, you have some 7s in the 64 versus the 8s in the 504.
Yeah. May have to wait till we get my cinema going. That way we've got the actual room to do it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, Trey is going to be building a system soon. Who's going to be watching if we follow him along on the build?
Yeah, I think we should probably, if we're going to do that, do it like a Tech Tuesday type thing. And
just hit and
miss as I go, because there's no way I'm going to set it all down and do it all in once.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a little bit at a time. So if we hit a little bit at a time with that, it might be easier to show. This week we're going to look at, running wire, and why we chose this wire, and why we're running it in this location, and the thought process of how we got there.
And there may be some things that we overlook because we've done it so many times. So leave a comment below if there's anything that, even the smallest thing that you guys are getting caught up on that you have questions about. We'd be happy to answer them along the way as well.
Right. And, it may not be the answer that everyone else gives, but if I give an answer, I usually have a reason behind it. And I'll be glad to give the reason and then, take that with a grain of salt.
All right, well, that's going to be it for us today, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe below, and I'm not sure where we're going next week. We'll have to wait and see.
We need to
may have a little bit of a surprise for you.
Yeah. We've got some interesting things coming down the pike. It could be an interesting comparison, and I think the next one could be just a comparison as well, using some of the same equipment, but in a different manner.
Yeah. We're definitely going to be here next week, but you'll have to wait and see what we bring.
God willing and the creek don't rise.
Until next time, I'm Jason.
I'm Trey.
We'll see you again next week for another episode of PHT TV. What?
I just had this silly idea.
What is it?
No.
Is it a good one?
Oh, it would be interesting.
Interesting's good.
I got some of this, if I had brought my truck, I got some of this green wire, fence wire in the back. Squares. If I got some of that wrapped around my belly as tight as this shirt is, it looked like I'd have a damn six-pack with that shirt.
That might work. Quick and easy. That's way easier than working out.